Hello, I'm Heavy Thrasher on the Nampa channel at YouTube. I know I botched that and I don't give a shit. Anyways, so with the last album being released in 1987, Tank pretty much decided to split up. And who knows when they would get back together. And during the course of the 90s, there was, with the help of the internet, which was pretty much starting and all that, the beginnings of it, and pretty much there was more interest in the band. Reissues, of course, of some of their past albums were being released, and there was just interest in the band again. And of course, when it came to some like festivals such as Wacken and such others. By the late 90s, the band pretty much saw all the interest, saw all that, and decided to get back together. And in 1998, as I believe that was the year, they decided to get back together and released a live album, which was called The Return of the Filth Hounds Live, which was definitely a pretty good live album, but also featured some two new recordings from the band, which were, and then we heard The Thunder, and, oh fuck, what's the name of it? Well, in The Last Hours Before Dawn. And yes, I read off of the album that I am going to be reviewing. And so, with the live album being released in the two songs, the band pretty much decided to get in the studio and record the finally follow-up. The album that was supposed, the anticipated follow-up to the 1987 album. And the album was titled Still at War, which is right here, which came out in 2002, the comeback album. And this time they had a different drummer, which his name is Bruce Bislin, which was another guy that came from the new wave of British heavy metal era, playing in bands such as Praying Mantis, Wildfire, and Weapon, or now known as Weapon UK. That will be saved for another video. Anyways, so with the album, is it with the anticipation for an album such as Still at War that come from the new wave of British heavy metal veterans, Tank, does the album deliver? And boy, it actually delivers in many ways. There's definitely some great songs on here. Definitely much more stronger than the 87 album. You can definitely tell that the band was literally into it. The energy, the overall, just the adrenaline out of these guys is just, you can tell that they literally put a lot of, they just put a lot more into this album. I guess more love, more heart, I don't know. They just literally seem like they were into it again. That's all I can think of for when it comes to words to put for this album. So the album starts off with the title track, this time No Synths. Pretty much just the sounds of war, which is pretty much what Tank pretty much became all about, since their name is named after a fucking weapon, or what you could, like a vehicle weapon, which is a fucking steamroller. You obviously can tell, even from some of their artwork, even for an album such as Honor and Blood, with just that fucking army guy just in the tank, just that's what you expected from the band. And with an artwork even such as this, showing pretty much a scene of, within the line of battle, definitely gives way for what to expect from this. And the title track is definitely a very good energetic. That definitely can be fit within the line of good title tracks such as Honor and Blood, This Means War, and of course Filth Hounds of Hades, and even Power of the Hunter. And we'll get to some. There's some songs in here that actually harken back to that album, such as Filth Hounds of Hades. Even such a aggressive song such as Power of the Hunter, it harkens back to that in some songs. There's definitely it's definitely noticed within songs such as Return of the Filth Hounds and Conspiracy of Hate. And both these songs have in common is the way the intros, which both feature classic tank tunes. Like Conspiracy of Hate, it has pretty much some guy over the radio pretty much saying some bullshit, whatever, and obviously playing some of this Walking Barefoot Over Glass, which was off of the Power of the Hunter album, and before just with again the guy interrupting the song and just Now For Your Attention Please, which obviously leads into a thrasher of a song. This is definitely close to the aggressiveness, the heaviness of a song such as Power of the Hunter. And then you have the song Return of the Filth Hounds, which reuses a bit of the, besides reusing some of the riff for the song Filth Hounds of Hades, it does also use some of that track as well, kind of similar to Conspiracy of Hate. And definitely two great songs over here, but there's also some other good ones, like When the Hunter Becomes a Hunter, which is definitely a pretty good song that definitely seems that it could have fit within an album such as the '87 album, or even This Means War and Honor and Blood. There's definitely some stuff that feels like it's continuing that style of writing. Then you do have also, and then we hear damn, I'm screwing up lines and shit. This isn't scripted. However, like again, songs such as And Then We Heard the Thunder and The Last Hours Before Dawn, I believe is again called. Yeah, and The Last Hours Before Dawn. And then we heard then we go back to And Then We Heard the Thunder, which is a re-recording. It's not the same version that appears at the on the Return of Filth Hounds Live. It's definitely a different recording, but it's another good song. Definitely got some great lyrics, of course. It definitely seems to be more about war, but still good song. But let me focus on the song In the Last Hours Before Dawn. It's definitely an emotional song, definitely showing Algie Ward's emotional side once again. Even at the age as he was in 2001, which was the year that this album was recorded in, he still is able, at that time, was able to still execute his emotional vocal side. And on the song, it definitely fits it, because the lyrics are definitely interesting. It's pretty much about a man's wife dying at childbirth, which is something interesting for a freaking heavy metal song, even though it's kind of an emotional song in itself. It's not like a ballad, but it's just interesting to have Algie Ward really write a song based around that sort of thing. It's, and the way he puts it in is so well executed. Definitely interesting for a song like that. And it's also a very good riff as well. A lot of emotional guitar solos as well. This whole, obviously the word emotional just summons up the whole song in itself. But there's some good energetic songs on here as well. Let me go back as well. Again, I can't really say that there's a bad song there. Of course, you got The World Waits. But as far as energetic song, it's, let me look again. Yeah, Lights. Yeah, fuck it. Light the Fire, Watch and Burn. Definitely one of the most energetic songs on here as well. Very speed metal-ish. Which also at times kind of either like a combination of some of the stuff you would definitely expect either off of like, you know, Filth Hounds of Hades, or even This Means War, or even Honor and Blood, or even just the 87 album, you can tell that this is definitely back to that. But let's also go to another song, which is called That Girl's Name is Death, which is another soul song, but definitely a good one. And obviously with a title such as that, you can definitely expect what it's about. But of course, there's some other good ones on here, such as The Blood Still on Their Hands, The Fear Inside. Really, there really isn't a bad song on this album. However, as far as... that's pretty much it. Though, if you have the Japanese copy, which on the Metal Mind reissue, they pretty much... they pretty much use the same bonus tracks that were featured on the Japanese edition of Still at War, which is a song that I want to talk about, is Sing the Ball. Just weird fucking name, but I guess it's about curing a disease, I guess. But it's a good song as well, definitely a fitting track. Anyways, this is definitely a good album. Now after this one, would be the last album to be with the feature the lineup of Algie Ward, Cliff Evans, and Mick Tucker. Because after this, we won't see another Tank album, and probably we'll never see another Tank album with that lineup. And we'll get to that. And because after this, it's time to review. Fuck, I can't, god damn it, not that. So until then, what did you think of Still at War? Were you there when this album was released? Were you there when, well, if you were, or even if you're a new fan of the band, or started getting into them just like me during like 2009 or 2010, whenever. What did you think of Still at War? Did you think it was a great comeback album from the band? Did you think it was kind of a so-so comeback album? Did you think it was a very not a good comeback? What was your true honest opinion? So until then, this is Heavy Thrasher saying I am out. And I will be back with the next installment.